The observation deck of the Celestial Harmony had become an unofficial gathering spot for the crew. Not because of the view, though the swirling nebula outside painted space in shades of violet and gold, but because of the curiosity. "She's late," rumbled Commander Vexthor, his crystalline carapace clicking nervously. The Krillian officer had seen 3 centuries of combat, commanded fleets through the Dissolution Wars, yet the past 2 months aboard this human vessel had shaken his understanding of the galaxy more than any battle. "Humans are often late," Ambassador Quillix observed, her feathers ruffling with what might have been amusement. "They have a saying about it. Fashionably late, I believe. Fashionably dead if those creatures get hungry enough," Vexthor muttered. Through the reinforced viewport, they could see the planetary surface below. Kepler 442d had been marked as uninhabitable for 15 cycles. The survey was clear: predatory megafauna, toxic atmosphere in the lowlands, and an ecosystem so aggressively hostile that 3 previous expeditions had been lost entirely. Then the humans arrived. Jessica Torres had been the first to volunteer. Of course she had. Jack Morrison had tried to stop her, citing protocols and probability matrices. The discussion had been heated, loud enough that half the ship heard it through the walls. "You're going to get yourself killed," Jack had said. "Or I'm going to solve a problem," Jessica had replied. "Isn't that what we do?" That was 2 months ago. 2 months since Jessica had taken a shuttle down to the surface with nothing but scanning equipment, ration bars, and that inexplicable human optimism that made other species nervous. The communications array crackled. "Torres to Harmony. Beginning approach. Eta 12 minutes. Jack's posture straightened immediately. He'd been in the observation deck for 6 hours straight, ever since Jessica's shuttle had lifted off from the surface. His face was unshaven, his uniform rumpled, and his eyes carried the weight of sleepless nights. "All stations, prepare for shuttle bay reception," he announced, his voice carefully neutral. Vexthor clicked his mandibles. "I still don't understand why you let her go down there alone." Jack turned, and there was something ancient in his expression despite his young face. "Because she asked to. And because sometimes the only way to solve an impossible problem is to try the impossible solution. Philosophy won't resurrect her if those creatures—" "They won't hurt her," Jack interrupted. Then softer, "They won't." The shuttle bay was crowded. Word had spread throughout the Harmony. The human was returning. Medical teams stood ready. Security personnel clutched their weapons. The diplomatic corps had assembled, prepared to document whatever Jessica had discovered. The shuttle's exterior cameras showed movement before it even touched down. Shapes bounded alongside the craft, keeping pace with impossible speed. Large shapes. Predatory shapes. "Weapons free," someone shouted. "Stand down." Jack's voice cut through the panic. "Nobody fires." "That's an order." The shuttle settled onto the deck with a pneumatic hiss. The outer bay doors sealed. Atmosphere normalized. The inner airlock began its cycle, and they waited. The door opened. Jessica Torres emerged, and she was smiling. Not the polite smile of diplomatic necessity, but genuine joy that radiated from her like light from a star. Her environmental suit was scratched and dirty, her dark hair pulled back in a messy braid, and there was a healing scar along her jawline. Behind her they came. The cubs were massive, each one easily 300 pounds of muscle, fur, and what appeared to be natural armor plating. Their eyes, 6 per creature, glowed with an intelligence that made several crew members step back. Teeth like daggers caught the overhead lights. They saw Jessica, and they charged. The security team raised weapons. Medical personnel scattered. Ambassador Quillix made a sound that might have been a prayer in her native tongue. Jack stood perfectly still, watching. The creatures hit Jessica like a wave of fur and enthusiasm. She went down laughing, completely overwhelmed by the mass of affectionate alien fauna trying simultaneously to lick her face, curl around her body, and make those chirping, rumbling sounds that vibrated through the deck plating. "Down, down, you ridiculous babies." Jessica was laughing so hard she could barely speak. "Yes, I missed you too." "Mira, stop, that's my ear." "Coda, you're crushing me." "Atlas, Zara, come on, you're not puppies." But they were, Jack realized. Despite their size, despite their teeth and claws and the predatory grace they carried, they were young, juveniles, and they had bonded with the human who had walked into their world without fear. Jessica managed to sit up. her lap full of an alien cub that had to weigh more than she did. Everyone meet the reason Kepler 442 was marked uninhabitable. These are Varaxians. The adults are territorial, yes, but they're also intelligent and protective of their young. She scratched behind Mira's auditory ridge, and the cub made a sound like thunder purring. The previous expeditions triggered defensive responses by entering breeding grounds during nesting season. But these cubs were orphaned in a rock slide. I found them 3 days after landing. They were starving, scared, and alone. Bexthor stepped forward cautiously. You stayed for 2 months to care for orphaned predators? Jessica looked up and there was steel beneath her smile. I stayed because they needed someone. Because leaving them to die would have been wrong. Because that's what humans do. We see something suffering and we can't walk away. Jack moved through the crowd, kneeling beside her. His hand found hers, squeezed once. You're impossible, he said quietly. You're welcome, she replied. The cubs had calmed now, sensing the lack of threat. They arranged themselves around Jessica like a protective honor guard, but their eyes tracked the other crew members with curiosity rather than aggression. I've spent 2 months studying them, Jessica continued. They're sapient adjacent. They communicate, they problem solve, they grieve, and with proper introduction protocols they could be allies, partners even. Kepler 442 doesn't need to be avoided, it needs to be understood. Ambassador Quillick stepped forward, her diplomatic training overriding her fear. You've potentially opened an entire world for peaceful contact. The implications are tomorrow's problem, Jack interrupted. Today someone needs medical clearance, a shower, and about 16 hours of sleep. Jessica started to protest, but a yawn caught her mid-word. Atlas, the largest of the cubs, nudged her gently with his massive head, and she leaned against him without thinking. They're coming with me, she said firmly. They stay in my quarters until we find them a proper home. Absolutely not, said 3 different department heads simultaneously. Jessica's smile turned sharp. Then I guess we're having a very long discussion about xenobiology protocols and the ethical treatment of intelligent species. Jack, back me up here. Jack looked at the cubs, at Jessica, at the impossibility she'd made real. They stay, he said. But you're teaching everyone the proper interaction protocols. Deal. As the crowd dispersed and arrangements were made, Vexthor approached Jack quietly. I still don't understand humans, the Krillian admitted. Jack watched Jessica being escorted to medical, 4 massive alien cubs trailing behind her like devoted shadows. Neither do we sometimes. But that's what makes us dangerous and valuable. We don't see the galaxy as it is. We see what it could be. Optimism as a weapon, Vexthor mused. Compassion as first contact, Jack corrected. We call it humanity. Through the viewport, Kepler 442 continued its slow rotation. No longer a hostile world marked in warning red, but a place where a human had walked alone into danger and emerged with family. The cubs had waited by the door. The human had returned smiling, and they had tackled her anyway. Because some truths transcend species. Joy at reunion, the bond between protector and protected, and the universal language of welcome home.